Everyone, it's me, Erin. I'm back again. After the success of our little album launch, our mini album blank, we've decided to bring you a new one. So our first one was the 8x8, nice size, was a complicated one with sleeves in the middle. Really beautiful album. But now we've gone on to something a little bit smaller and a little bit more manageable. So especially for beginner album makers, this one is super, super easy. Everything's been pre-cut just like before, but it's a lot less complicated. And for project-wise, it will take a lot less time. So you obviously got your cover, your pages, but these ones aren't pockets. These are just pages. So it makes life a lot easier to complete a project, let's say for a gift for birth of a child or whatever the case may be. So this album is really nice to give away as a gift. If you're on a time restraint, much smaller, obviously takes up less paper to make it, and a lot less time. But I'll run through how to make it. This is how it has been packed and produced for you. So it's an A5 Miko sleeve. All the pieces are inside, just like the other album. Everything's together, nice and simple. So I'm going to just take them out so you can see what's included. Obviously, you've got your little have instructions saying what all is included in the pack. So this one is a 7.5 by 5 inch. Then you have your gray board outers, your front and your back, and your spine. And remember, this one's landscape, but nothing stops you from flipping it on the side and using it as a portrait top flip. And then obviously you have all your pages that are going to go inside. Now these pages are all the same size, so it makes it super easy to prep your album. Just so you can see each page inside the album. Let's measure for you so you can actually have a look. Each page is 7 inches by 4 3/4 inches. Okay, so the 4 3/4 has been pre-cut. You don't have to worry about that. They're all that size already. It's this length that we're worrying about. So we want them to all be at 7 inches. So very simply, this whole wad of paper, we're going to take out the bigger ones. So you'll see there's some that are taller. There's a 5.5, take that out. There is a 6 1/4, you take those out. And then you're left with, and there's also a one that's slightly bigger. So that is at a 5. We want it 4 3/4. So all the ones that remain are 4 3/4. So you should have 2 pages of each size. So a total of 8 sheets of paper left in your hand. We are going to score them so they're all at 7 inches. Very, very simple. So you're going to get your scoring board. Do 1 sheet at a time. Put it in there. Because it's plain paper, doesn't matter where you score it, but make sure it's on the 7-inch mark. So score at 7 inches. Straightforward. We don't need any fancy little rulers for this one, just 7 inches. As you go through the pile, you'll see the part that's been scored away gets bigger and bigger. That is correct. You need to carry on doing that. So each page at 7 inches. Only figure you need to remember at this stage, 7 inches. Pretty straightforward. So you've got all those pages all scored at 7 inches. So if you bend your score line, just two random ones. Once they're folded, they will be the same size. But the folds will be different sizes. All right, nice and easy, straightforward and simple. So we're going to put these aside for now. Then we're going to go straight into the outer of the album. And these, obviously, we are using the biggest sheets of paper that were in the pack. So the remainder pieces, I'm going to try to make this as easy as possible. So you'll see there's the bigger 2 pieces. We need the bigger 2, the largest 2 in the pack. Now we're going to make the outer first. So use them for the outer. I like to use red tape when I'm assembling an album. You don't have to. It's just I'm never sure what I'm going to end up, or who's going to end up using it or looking through it. So the stronger the tape, the better. I'm just using my craft mat here to line up and have a nice straight line at the bottom. They're going to go nicely side by side. So a nice long landscape format. Then I'm just going to do a few little pieces just to make sure it stays set. Nice and snug next to each other. Don't overlap them, just nice and snug. So now you have the base of your outer. Next up, we're going to put our central piece in, so our spine, which is obviously going to go over that join line. So if you want to be precise, you can. I eyeball it. So these larger pieces are 9 inches. So we're wanting to get, and this is, let's see, so it's 2 inches. So at 8 inches will be the one side, 8 inches. You can estimate top and bottom. So I'm going to actually just put the tape on the back of this spine, the grey board spine. Oh, lost the end. There you go. Same rule applies to all albums. The more tape when assembling, the better. Just reinforces it, makes it stronger, stops pages from lifting. The albums are something that's handled quite a bit, so you don't want to make them too delicate. Just going to remove these to give extra support. There's no point sticking down onto this, and I can have it as glue as well. And then the spine. Okay, so I said it around about 8 inches. So just use your ruler as a guide. 8 inches is about there, and about halfway up around there. Make sure it's nice and straight. So I'm using my grid here to keep it straight and straight down. And then you're going to use Sandy's little trick. You know Sandy by now with the mini albums. And just put the narrow tape, so it's just a few mils down this either side of the spine. This is giving you space for your paper to fold. It's really a spacer more than anything else. So it's just narrow tape, just take the mils. Okay, so it's a 6 mil tape. So around about 5-6 mil gap that you're wanting on either side of your spine. For that, we are going to put tape on our big grey board, both pieces. It's a little trick I like to do. These boards have been die cut. So on one side, it goes rounded and the other side is a bit rough. If you put your hand over one side feels smooth and the other side, you'll feel like a little lip. I like to have the smooth side on the outside of the album. So I'll put the smooth side down, just so the paper doesn't have to fight against this sharp edge. Just a little something I do. It's not essential, but I think it might just lengthen the life of the cover a little bit, but not having to rub against a sharp edge. We're going to do this with both of the larger grey board pieces. I like to go quite close to the edge. And then again, as I said, the more tape, the merrier. While you're working with the tape, you may as well do the other side. Again, if you look carefully, there's a smooth side and there's a rough side on the cut that is. So just feel, you can feel this has been pushed, die cutted from this side. This side will be quite sharp. This side's almost a little beveled. You can see this album is going to go so much quicker than the previous one. Previous one's nice for a long project, nice, complicated, maybe even a wedding gift. But this one is just a easy, relaxing, no stress, simple album to produce. Actually based on our very, very first album, the little brown paper one. So you'll see when you assemble that it's loosely based on that desire and concept. I have a big problem with this gray board lifting when I start taking the tape. So I'm just going to do a quick run over to make sure the tape sticks to the gray board and I don't lift the gray board when I lift the wax. Just a quick run over. It lifts a bit easier. Another little trick with the gray board separating, if you start lifting just below the top, so not right up there, just further down, because then it doesn't separate as easy. And now I can feel this one lifting. Just a little rub helps keep the glue in place. And now to put this one in place before it sticks to something it shouldn't, I'm using my ruler as a spacer, just to keep it all straight. There's my straight line, little straight line underneath, so we know we're straight. We have our 6mm tape running along the side. I'm going to put this flush against the other side of the 6mm tape and against the ruler so it's in line with the spine. Nice and straight. And down it goes. The same with the other side. Exactly the same concept. Just remember our 6mm tape is right here, so that's our spacer. Use our ruler. Make sure we line with the spine. And the other side now. And stick them down. Now look at our ruler. Yeah, I didn't make that particularly straight, but the concept still works. All right, so that is the outside covered. We just need to fold it in now. So if you have a mice magic, recommend using them. So mice magic is just a little device you can hook on your corner and slice off. If you don't have a mice magic, you'll need to create your own little gap between the gray board and where you do your triangle cut off. So here's your, we're going to do it like around there. So you do need to have a little bit of extra on the white. Just going to cut with the mice magic so you can see what I'm meaning by the space. Okay, so when you lift up the corner, it's not flush with the gray board. There's a little bit of extra. All right, but before we do that step, actually let's do the tape, make life a bit easier. I'm going to put a row of tape along the very top. And my roll has just run out. Another one. Putting the tape on first is advisable. Just getting a bit eager there. Just going to use a blade to cut it. Okay, so top, bottom. Edit, might as well do the size as well. I just swivel these around to make it easier for me to deal with. Making a piece of my right. My magic sand, more metal ruler and a craft knife. So my jig, you've got slab. Okay, there we go. You see the lights of it there. Oh, you can see outside. Look at that. Right, so there you have a double layer. You're gonna flip it over so the double layer covers the corner and it fits nice and snug. You can see it can't, once it's in place, it doesn't move. You have to move the whole thing. And you just snip the corner off. Snip it off. Bit off. The layer of tape along the edge of the grey board now. Do a quick rub again. And there we go. Just lifting a bit so I'll go from the side. See, we're taking the tape off all the sides of the grey. I'm just going to tape off the bottom for now. So bottom, and then we're going to just bend to 90 degrees, and then bend all the way over. Rub. Make sure it stays in place. Do the same with the other side. So only doing top and bottom at this stage. Again, 90 degrees, just flex the paper a bit. All the way over. Forward lifting. the slip was a bit smaller. So I'm going to put into that one. Okay, so there we have our top and bottom. Now what we need to do is take our scoring tool and just bend the paper down. Bend it down. I can get that in the camera nicely. Okay, so just a slight little piece of paper bent down. I do it again on this corner. Down. If you want, you can remove these protective layers in the middle here. I don't see the need, so I haven't done it. Okay. Side flaps are going to be done exactly the same as the top and bottom. 90 degrees, flip over and squash down. A bit of a rub. There. There. Just a rub again. Remember, there's going to be folds here, so I'm just gently preparing the paper to be folded. Just gently. Just until it's got used to bending. So there is the outside of your album. Pretty easy. Next up, taking from our non-scored pages, we're going to show you what we have left here. So we have slightly wider and slightly longer. So we're going to go for the slightly longer pieces. Give me the measurements so we don't get confused. So there's two of these, that sheet, that size. It's 8.5 by just short of 5. And they're going to be going the inside. Very straightforward step. Take the two pieces. This tape has been left somewhere where there's been bits of muck lying around. Again, I'm using the red tape. Not essential, but my preference. I'm going to stick them down as two separate pieces. It's find it easy to work with smaller pieces than one large one. And you can just line the spines up next to each other once one's stuck down. Especially with this red tape, it's not forgiving at all. So once you've stuck something down, that's it. That's where it stays. I'll move it. Again, more the merrier. Prep the other side at the same time. So they're both prepped. Cool. going to start on one side and move my way to the other. Instead of taking a huge risk, I'm not taking the backing of all the paper off. I'm just going to do one little side for now. So you can see I've taken the tape off the one side and then just pull these little ones down. You'll see on your spine where our papers join. Should be more or less centered, so you can use that as a marker. Put mine down. It also helps you just be straight. Okay. Just stick that down like that. Before you peel back, just make sure you're happy. Take this off. There we go. The second one is going to be a little bit easier because we've already got our marker. It needs to be flush against that. Okay. So for those who've made the bigger album, you can see the outside concept exactly the same as our previous white mini blank album, the 8x8. The inside pages is quite a bit easier than our 8x8 one. The outside remains the same. Again, we've got this line we can work with. So we want to line up top, bottom, and that side. So I've taken all the tape off now. We've got somewhere to work from. It's lined up and down it goes. Here, remember where those folds are going to be, so I'm just going to gently find those fold sections. Down where the tape should be. And then I'm just going to quickly do a gentle score. Gentle, and don't put too much force. Gentle score on those sections. Just so the paper lies nicely when you close it up. Can bubble if you don't do it nice and gently. So that's our outside, well, our cover done, inside and outside of the cover. You're still left with these 4 sheets, but I'll explain these later. All the pieces that we scored, so there should be a total of 8 pieces that we scored. We're going to take our tape, nice, straightforward, easy steps. We are taping on the sides, the smaller sides of where we scored, because these are going to become our spines. So I'm going to work for the biggest one first. I'm going to go just next to the score line on the smaller section there. And then I'm also going to put a piece on the side. I want to avoid all flaps. This next piece is not essential, but again, like I said, the more the merrier with this tape. The albums. So that's mixed up the order a little bit. There's another big one. So you'll have exactly the same scores. So 2 of each. So 2 pieces, 2 sizes, the same. And the scores will be the same. Just doesn't matter which side you're working from. If you've got your paper this way around or this way around, doesn't matter at this stage. It will matter later on. So we've done the biggest ones. Then we're going to move on to second biggest. 1, 2, do the same. Remember, not on the score line, just next to you. You don't want to hinder the actual fold. Next. And we go on to the second smallest. You've done what I've done. It's a little bit extra on the side. I'm just going to trim it off before I start assembling, just to make it neat and tidy. And then finally, we move on to the skinnier ones, so the smallest score. Only one piece of tape that fits along that. So all 8 pieces of paper that have been scored have got one piece of tape, or one section of tape, say, on them. Just going to do a quick rub. I'm going to start with the biggest. So we have 2 as exactly the same. We're going to turn 1, so the tape is on the back. The other one, we're going to join like that. So there is an overlap. Where the tape is, there's an overlap. So we have tape on the back, which is going to stay on the back. Then we have this tape, and the tape on the second piece is going to attach the 2 pieces together. We're keeping that tape in place for now. So it's just this tape that we're removing. We're going to join the 2 to make one big bird. I hope everybody understands my concept there. And we're going to take off. Doesn't matter which piece is which, they're exactly the same. We're just wanting to make a nice long landscape bird. So you've got the 2 folds. Make sure you don't interrupt those 2 score lines. So you can use your score line on your base piece. Line up nicely. Nice and straight, top and bottom. And there is your first bird with tape on the back. Okay. Just want to make sure you all get that, because we're going to repeat that concept with the remaining 6 sheets of paper. Second biggest, just to repeat myself. We have 2 exactly the same. Leave one, well, let's flip the one over. The tape is now on the back, the score is still here. And then this one is going to go on top like that. Tape. Exactly the same concept as the first little bird. For want of a better word, birdie needs a head and a tail. Okay, then we're going to line up again. I like to use my craft mat to get things nice and straight. So you can see I've lined up with the top line of the craft mat. Oops, I had lined up with the top line. There we go. And I'm going to use that top line again to make sure I stay straight all the way along. And there is my second, but slightly skinnier birdie. So the wings are the same size, but the tummy's are getting narrower. So, same concept again. So this one, turn upside down. This one, take a tape off, a protective layer. Flip over. Use my craft mat or cutting mat to position nice and straight, right next to the score line. Make sure this goes straight with that line. It's on. And only then do I push down. And with the final one, let's do it exactly the same as we've done before. So there, turn it over. Yeah. Take the tape off. Line up. Make it straight. Just off the score line. Make sure it's straight. There we go. And now we have a super skinny birdie, the end of the month birdie. Right. So now we only have 4 sheets of paper we're dealing with, just really long ones. These are going to be stacked like our very first little brown mini album. So smallest, second biggest, and then finally biggest. So the spines are going to go into each other. So you're going to make one family of birds. So I'm going to start with the smallest one. Get the tape off. I like to alternate where the join line is. So I've got the join line on the left-hand side of the top one. I'm going to put the join line on the right-hand side of the second one. It's not vital. It's just one of those little things that I like to do. And now for positioning, you can use your cutting mat again to get the middle. So get your middle, the middle, bottom, and down you go. So we're starting to get the pages forming. Yeah, we're going to now work with this one. So we had the join line on the right-hand side, and we have the join line on the left-hand side. Once you've made up your album, you won't even notice those things. Okay, so I'm lining it up just to get it nice and square. There, and in the middle, and as straight as possible. And 3 birdies are together now. For the final birdie, okay, so the last join, move them around a bit. So last join, yeah, just make sure it's opposite. Okay. Central. And push down. Just to be sure you're happy with the way it's stacked, I like to just go over joins and the scores. Join, score, join, score, and then the other way. That is your birdie put together. And there's your spine. So we've already put tape on the back when we're joining all the pieces of paper together. The same thing. We just need to use your fold lines. Remember, this is not going to line up with the top of the paper. It needs to come down ever so slightly. Slightly narrower than the inner pages. And come down. Again, if you want to just make sure everything's stuck down nicely, you don't have to worry about scoring now. Stuck down nicely. So there is your mini album. Cover your multiple pages. Now you still have these sheets left. Now these sheets are bonus time for you to create your own thing, do your own thing with. If you're wanting to extend the page, make a pocket, that's what these things are for. Let me see, what should we do with this one? Yeah, I think we're going to do a, let's do a little flap with this one. Just so I can show you what is meant. The team's missing. Hold on a sec. Okay, so these pages are meant to be cut down, folded, whatever you would like to do with them. So as we know, because we scored it on, they're 7 inches. So 7 inches. I'm going to trim this feet down to be 7 inches. Stick it there. So I'm going to do a little 1/2-inch score. Top 1/2-inch. Doing this super quick because this isn't part of the assembling. This is just to give you an idea of what to do with your extra pieces of paper. So there's the score. So tape on the score. I don't think I want this on the very first page. Let me move it on to the 3rd page. If you've got an idea in mind for an album you're actually creating for someone or around a certain collection, then you can plan it more according to the paper that you're using. Just line this up. Score line with the bottom of the page. And then you have a flap. Didn't realize it was a bit longer as well, so I'm just going to trim that down. So I'm just going to use my ruler, so it's 7, 4.5, and 4.5. So 4.5. Longer. 4.5. Obviously, it's best to check these before you actually stick it into your book. We've just done the score at 1 inch. And then I'm just going to they're fun, just add-ons. Maybe I should make a little pocket for you guys as well. So you can see. So we already used one now. That's an extra little piece of interest. The pocket. Okay, I'm going to make it the full size, I think, yeah, full size of a page. So I'm going to be scoring. This is what we should be doing, measuring first. So we know that's 7 inches. This now is 8 inches. So if we're doing a 1/2-inch score on either side, we'll make up 7 inches. So I'm going to do a 1/2 inch. Around 1/2 inch. Okay. So we can always double check ourselves before you start sticking or gluing anything. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, fold them. Just put on the page. That's perfect. Especially white on white, you can't see too well. We go up here, we can see it's still longer. So we know that the pages are 4.5 inches. This is sitting at 5.5. So if we score at 1 inch along one of the edges, 1 inch. So we've scored 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1/2 inch. So the page inside of the score lines should be the same page as our album. So what I'm going to do now is take my ruler and chop off the corner. So it's going through the cross mark. What I'm doing is clean up the cross mark, fold in fold in, fold in. Now, so this is on the smaller part of the score line. These pockets are ideal to put our little quotes in from the Celebr8 paper, where there's beautiful quotes on both sides of the little piece of paper, so you don't have to stick it down. Pull it out of the little pocket and you can read both quotes. Or if there's a journals block with a photo on the one side, you can journal on one side and the photo on the other, and you're not wasting any part of the paper. So these little pockets can come in very handy. Extra tape. And then I'm just going to trim a little bit off the corners, so when you fold it, you don't see folded section. Just a neat little trim. So we've got on the second page, maybe we should now do second to last page. Balance it out a bit. A little rub. Nice little trick to do as well, if you're doing pockets, is just to make sure people are aware that there is actually pockets. And you can take we'll take a 2-inch punch. Any circle punch will do. As the effect of it. We're going to measure halfway so we know it was 7, so 3.5 is the middle. Doesn't have to be the middle. It's purely your choice, your design. So I'm just going to keep that roughly there so I can see roughly where the middle is. Now I'm actually going to move down to 1.5. I have an idea in mind for this album. So 1.5. So you're lining it up with the middle of that 1.5 there, but you're only going to do half a circle. So you see that would be the whole circle. You're only going to do half a circle. So lift up so it's half. And punch through. Now again, with the Celebr8 paper, if you do this, you can punch your little circles, and those can be your little tabs that stick up and help you pull out your little quotes or whatever you've put in there. Stick this pocket down. With doing the scores on the pockets, instead of sticking it straight down, actually scoring and then sticking, you can fit just smaller than your page size in. Your sticking doesn't affect the size of what you can put in the pocket. If you stuck it straight down on the edges, obviously your tape restricts the size of your pocket. Where here now you have full size of your page as a pocket. Remember to keep the score line space. And there is the pocket. Show you in and out. So it gives you a general idea of what you can do with these. As I said, there are 4 of them, so you're welcome to trim them in half and make them flat that way. Yeah, let's actually just do one. Right, so this one, we've done the second page. Maybe we should do the third page and make it nice, long one. So we know, as I said, it's 4.5, so we need to trim it down to 4.5. So we now 4.5. I do what I'm doing, always work on an even surface. 1.5. And we know the pages are 7 inches long. So I'm going to score it at 7 inches. Actually, just more than 7 inches. I mean, just less than 7 inches, because obviously the fold's going to have an effect. So I've scored it at 6 3/4. And this time we are going to stick it like that. So you have this nice long stretch. You can even add on to the other side, so you can end up with a 4-page width to your album. You have a sequence of photos that you're wanting to put in. Let's get that. And then nothing stops you from using these offcuts as belly bands. Actually doing belly band for you as well. Remember, these inner pages are purely optional. You can stop the video at any point, just to give you an idea of what you can do with your extra sheets. Snip it down. Now we've got an extra long piece. So we have a flap down, some plain sheets, extra long sheets, pockets. And then we've got this one. Have we not done? Maybe we should do like a little side thing, side pocket. So let's score 1 inch side. The side pocket. Just need to plan this quickly. I haven't even planned it yet. Okay, so I'm going to do 1/2 inch off the side as a score, so I can see it I'm working. Then I'm going to do an inch score on one of the sides, on the longer side. Still longer than the page. Now I'm just going to trim it down to be the 7 inches it needs to be. So I'm folding in my score because I can't be included in the 7 inches. Replace. So once you've folded everything, it's there. And then I'm going to just do a little something different. Let's measure roughly an inch and a half at the top, just bring a little neck in there, and an inch and a half at the bottom. Those are my 2 markers. I'm joining these 2 dots up. And there's a side pocket. So I'm going to actually swap it around. So I've done nothing on the left-hand side of these. Remember to trim off the corner. I have lots of fun with these extra pages. Let's go there. Now we'll put our little side piece and there, just like that. Actually, I'm going to do it that way around. The nice thing with it, just the white paper, is that you can alter it, just swap the folds around, and you can do something a little bit different to what was initially planned. If you don't want to use the white paper, then just keep it for another project or a card or matting, whatever. You can never have enough white cardstock. So trim these corners back a bit. Person. Remember not to interfere with score lines on your actual album. And there you have a little side pocket. Maybe we'll do a belly band on this one. Cut very nicely. And up a bit. Okay, so we know the pages are 4.5 inches wide. Well, deep. This is just short of 8 inches, so we need 4.5. So let's go for 5.5. We've done 5.5. Then we can score 1/2 inch on either side. 1/2 inch. Oops. 1/2 inch. Back at 2 corners. And there'll be your belly band. Just tape them. Belly bands are normally put in the middle of a page, but it's up to you again. Just make sure the pages would stay in, so it depends what you're putting into it. I'm going to go more towards the left-hand side, so pages can be held inside by the spine. So here's your belly band. So from those extra pages, a few little offcuts left, but here's your album, done the beautiful little album, outside, inside, first page, second page with a flap, third page and fourth page plain, fifth page, sixth page, the extra side flap, middle, pocket, plain, another pocket, belly band, and the end of your album. Hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed making this album. It's loads and loads and loads of fun. Just want to show you the finished one. Well, the outer completed one. Yeah, misplaced it now. Oh, here it is. So those are your little albums. This was made from Hugs and Kisses. Very simple to make up. This one hasn't been completed inside yet. That's your little album. Here's your blank. Again, remember, don't worry about the orientation. If you have a whole lot of landscape photos you want to put into album, you're welcome to use it this way. It's completely up to you. Just remember your pockets though, if you do that, do it that way. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll chat to you guys soon.